Hello, Revit Nation. This is Chris with Fowler EDC, where we are building better families and better Revit workflows. And today I'd like to take a few minutes to talk to you about routing preferences, mostly how to route couplings. So if you're running no hub cast iron or groove pipe or weld pipe and you want to illustrate your welds so that you can get proper gapping for fabrication, then you've stopped at the right channel here. So what we're going to discuss today is the routing preference dialog boxes. You can see that I got all three of them set up here on the cover. You go from here to edit to here to the routing preference where you actually set up the fittings you want. And unfortunately, I believe this was originally set up in the Autodesk Building Systems, which was kind of Revit back around 2006. And they were trying to integrate the MEP side into Revit, and it was called Building Systems. It dates back that far. So technically, this hasn't been updated by Autodesk in almost probably 15 years or so, being that's 2021. I definitely know since I've dabbled inside of Revit since 2010, there's been no updates. But I'm really hoping the development team realizes that and they start shifting focus back into this within the next few years. Because looking at their roadmap, they seem to be focusing on calculations and fabrication items. But they're not addressing the issues trying to connect pipe to the equipment so that you can get your calculations and then have all the pipe there so that you can go from design to fabrication by clicking that nice little button on the ribbon that says design to fabrication. So hopefully they'll get there, but without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into Revit, and I'll show you how I use it and some of my workflows to accomplish some of my drafting processes. So here we are inside of just a generic Revit template that I pulled up. As you can see, we just have generic fittings. There's nothing special. If I go over here to the Systems tab and I hit Pipe, the only thing you're going to see in the pipe types is standard and chilled water. So let me escape out of that. First and foremost, if you're not using Vic Tools, you really need to. This is a hat tip to Ralph and Ricky. They've done an amazing job at developing this ribbon from Victaulic. It's very inexpensive. It's like $200, and it'll just save you a boatload of time if you're really looking to do a lot of work with design fittings, so that you can go from design to calculation to fabrication. And a lot of times with if you get the right design fittings, you don't even have to go to fabrication, use fabrication parts, because you can just spool right out of that. And that's what this plugin is designed for. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to load their toolbar or their tools into my project here. I just go to project maintenance, and what I'm going to do is load their pipe types in. Have no fear, you'll be able to set up your own because we're going to do that next. But I want to give you a preview of how it looks and what it looks like. So I go in here and I hit the load button. It's going to take a minute or two for it to upload and to get ready. And then once it does, it's going to load their medium, basic pipe type routing. It's going to give me options to either route with a T or a tap. Really don't need to go into the difference. The tap would be like a thread-o-let or an OLED, and the T is just a standard Vic T. So as you can see, it's added in the IPS pipe types now. Now if I come over here to my Systems tab and hit Pipe, and I go to the drop-down, you now see Vic Tap and Vic T. The one I'm going to worry about is Vic T today. So if I click on the Edit button, and then it comes up, and you can go from here to there. And if you go to Routing Preferences, you can see that they've already got this pre-set up inside here. If you don't have the plugin, don't worry. Like I said, I'm going to show you how to set it up. But they do a really nice job of setting this up. Any threaded components below, or any piping below 2 inches is threaded. Anything above 2 inches is grooved with their um, couplings. And if it's above 12 inch, then it goes to their AGS couplings. So they really set it up nice. And if I come over here and I click out, and if I specify, let's say, a hydronic supply, and I'd say, okay, let's run this pipe, this 6-inch pipe at 9 foot, and I go from here to here to here, it draws 45s, just like it normally does. And if I go up here and I say 12 foot, then it's gonna draw an elbow up. Let me hit that apply button again. You can see it's got an elbow up. Let me go ahead and change this over to fine view. And this is what it looks like. And the beauty of this, if you're used to using fabrication fittings, there's things you can't do with fabrication fittings that you can with Vic fittings. Although I will say fabrication fittings are much easier to use, but I can click that elbow, turn that into a T, and I can start running from there again. And I can start hustling on down the road, and I can do what I want to do. If I got to jump up a foot, I can jump up. Well, let's jump up 2 feet. Let's jump up to 11 feet here. We're probably going to be off the screen. And I can come over here, and I can go over here. And I'm literally routing on the other floor. If I go to level 2, you'll see that the piping is on the other floor. So it really is an easier way to route things. The only issue is that it's quicker, but you run into some other issues. And when you look at this, you can see we got all the fittings in here, the couplings and the elbows and all of that. You can even pull a T off of it. You can pull a T, so we're at 11 feet here. The pipe's at 9, so if I were to pull a T, it would literally start there and pull it out, and you can see it put the T in. And if I were to come in here and select this and go to a 3D view, you can see it actually drew the T there. So it's very powerful in the way Autodesk set it up. They did a really good job with it. The only problem is they just haven't updated it, and I've been bothering them, pestering them. It's not part of their beta network. So I've been trying to get them to start refocusing on these and kind of lay off a lot of the improvements to the fabrication, because that's just coming out year after year after year. They're making great improvements, but like I say, you don't get the intelligence with the fabrication fittings. They're just dumb cat objects on the screen. That's all they are. So that's the Victaulic difference. If you don't have Vic tools, check it out. It's like $200. And that's for the latest release. And then every year after, it drops $50. So if you want 2019, you can probably pick it up for $100 now. I do a lot of projects still in 2019. It's nice, but with the new 2022 coming out, as the new plugins roll in, I'm going to be doing everything in 2022. I don't care what year someone's going to specify. 2022 is just awesome, and that's where I'm going to be. So you don't have Vic tools and you want to set something up. So let's go ahead and set something up. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go over here. We're going to hit pipe, and then we're going to go here to edit, and then we're going to go to the routing preference. And before we do that, let's back this bus up a bit. Let's go to insert, and we're going to load the families that we want. So I'm going to go here, and I'm going to go to my families that I have. And I'm going to go ahead and go to Weld Bend, because that's what we want to use. And we want a Weld Bend 45. We want a Weld Bend 90. We want my Weld Bend family that includes both Weld Bend 45s and 90s. Flat face, raised face. We want reducers, and we want some T's. Whoops, wrong one. We want some T's. Let me just go ahead. Okay, let's try that again. That didn't work out as well as I had liked. And then I'll come up here and I'll grab these 45s, this 90, and this 45. And I'll go in here And I'll put them all in. And as that's loading up, you'll see them populate here in the pipe fittings once they come in. We're also going to need two more fittings. We're going to need the weld gaps and the weld gap multi-port parts. So you can see that they're all loaded in. So these are all the Vic fittings that came in when I loaded up the Vic routing. And then here's all the fittings that came in with my from my weld bend families. And like I said, we want two more. Let's go back here, and I'm going to go up to generic families, and I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to grab this weld gap and this weld gap multi-port part. And the multi-port parts are important, and we'll get into that in a bit. That's going to be more on the slope side, not on this side. So what we're going to do now is we're going to go in here, and we're going to go back. We'll just go to a pipe, and we'll click on any pipe, and then this is going to come up. We're going to go edit type. What we're going to do is we're going to go to standard, and we're going to duplicate it, and we're going to call it weld pipe, because you don't need to say condenser water or chill water, heating water, unless you have, if it's all set up the same, if everything is if everything above 2 inches is weld, or above 2 inches weld, and anything 2 inches below is threaded, then you can obviously set it up that way. But I tend to do weld pipe, and then I'll do threaded pipe, and then I'll do ProPress copper, soldered copper. So a lot of times you can't use ProPress on your gravity systems if you're using copper for condensate. So I'll tend to set it up that way. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to create a new one after I duplicated that. And so when you come here, you can see there's standard, there's still the Vic, and now there's weld. And when I open this up, this has got all the generic fittings that Revit naturally populates it with. And no, we don't want K copper. This is going to be weld, so we're going to use standard weight pipe. We're going to come in here, and since we uploaded Vic fittings, you're going to see all the Vic fittings and my weld bend fittings. The weld bend fittings from my site, you get all the schedules included. So if you look at these 45s, these 90s, it's got everything there. And we can upload those, and I'll show you the difference here in a second. So first we're going to choose this one here. Let's make this a little bigger so it's easier to see. So first we're going to choose the elbows, long radius, including 45s. You want to have, when you're doing these routings, you don't want to have just 45s or just elbows. Unlike fabrication, if you've ever set up the button mapping there, you have elbows first, then 45s, and then 22s and stuff. Revit doesn't quite read it that way, and I'll show you what I mean. So you can add another fitting. Say you got a different size. So I can come here and I can add a 45 standard weight, and then I can come down here and I can add a 90 standard. But I'll never use these because it's all included inside of the fittings. These fittings here that I have, they're like one-off instances. So those are the ones that I'm going to use. And then I'm going to go here, and I'm going to pull a T in. I'm just going to say standard weight T. And then right here, I'm going to choose my weld gap as a flange. My coupling will be a flanged item. Why? It's just the way that Autodesk has kind of got this set up. I'm really hoping eventually one day that they'll have a space between union and flange that says mechanical joint, so that if you have parts, mechanical joints like a groove joint, a weld gap, a no-hub band, and it's connecting two pieces of pipe together, and you don't need two to go together, then it'll just do that, and it won't malfunction sometimes how this will, where it'll put two in there. Also, it'll connect pipe to fittings. So they don't have it yet. Hoping one day it is. It's a big push that I have. They don't seem to be too interested in it right now, but hopefully they will be. And then the other thing I do is I set the size, the minimum size and the maximum size that I want. So after I place them, I go through and I say anything over 2 inch, or let's say 2.5, to 72 inch will be welded pipe. And unfortunately, you can't select multiples and just click down. So this is a one-way deal, but you really don't have to do that, because all you got to do is set this here up and it will automatically not allow you to draw other piping if you have this one set up. Now, one thing I didn't mention, you have piping in segments. Say you're running no hub. No hub is not listed. So you would have to create a new no hub cast iron segment. You would go here, you click this, and then you'd add your material type, and then you would duplicate it, and then you'd have to come in here and change. And if you see I click into cells, I can't change no matter how many times I click. You literally have to go in there and delete all the sizes and then create a new size. But it won't let you delete all of them. It only says you got to have one left. So you would like create, I don't know, 1.5 inch, and then you would enter the nominal size. This is not the nominal size of a 1.5 inch pipe, but for display purposes, let's say 1.9. It comes in. Now you can go and you can delete that last one. But what you would do is you'd open your Charlotte catalog, your Tyler, whatever you use, and then you would just auto-populate it, and then it'll automatically go. So that's a quick way to do it. There's a lot of videos on YouTube. You really don't need me to go through this. So now that we got these set up and it's all there, I don't have a cap listed, so I'm going to leave that cap there. And I'm just going to have my cap for 2.5 inch there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to come in here and I'm going to click this. And now I'm going to use a keyboard shortcut, PI, for pipe. You can see my reticle is going to change. I'm going to come back here and I'm going to say I want to route at 9 feet. And I'm going to come over here. I'm going to go there. I'm going to go there. My bad, I picked the wrong one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the whole thing. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to say change type. I'm going to go to my weld pipe, and all this is going to change. So you can see now, let's go ahead and take this, make this hidden. So you can see now that I have the pipe, the fittings, and I can come in here and I can add an elbow. I can right click and click add pipe. I can add elbow, and I can go up to that sacred 12 foot. If I want, I can click on this and I can turn that into a T, and then I can route. And then I can draw a pipe off that. If I want to go to a smaller size, it'll throw the reducer in. Did I put a reducer in? I don't think I did. No, I didn't. It added both fittings. Oh, damn. Forgot the reducer. So let's go back here. Click Edit Type, Pipe Preferences, and then go into the transitions. And as in true form, I have both concentric and eccentric in my fittings. You just click concentric because that's the easier one. The eccentric will work. It can get to be a little challenging at times, but it will work. And you can either choose to click on the fitting itself and then come in here and replace it. And then bam, now we have that. If you have Vic Tools, you come here, you can use a delete tool. And it literally deletes it, but it didn't add that fitting in because I didn't properly set the tool up to put the multi-port part in there in order to do that. So let's go ahead and undo this. Undo, exit the command, and I will do that real quick right here. Delete pipe for a weld pipe. All I got to do is come down here and choose what I want to use. And then now I can do the delete pipe command, and it comes in there and it throws it in there. So that's the power of the Vic Tools and everything it does. One of the things you can also do is with these, you can come off the pipe at an angle. You can reduce the size. So let's say 2.5 inch, because that's the smallest one you got. If you're gonna, whoops, okay. So it's all the same size. So that's pretty much how you set it up and you route with these fittings. you want to see it in a 3D view, come here. And that's what it looks like. That's pretty much how it looks. The great thing about it is everything looks realistic. All your weld bend fittings are green and all that. So that's it for how to set it up. It's very easy. It's sweet. It's not difficult. One of the things that will trip you up is when you go into the no-hub side and you're using things on slope. And one of the things that I often find is this is a project that my company did, and I'm kind of redrawing it in cast iron because I want to see how it works. I want to test out a lot of my cast iron Charlotte fittings that I've created so that we can see what this looks like. And one of the things with this routing, which can get challenging at times, is as with any fitting inside of Revit's always trying to change things. So if I hit PI for pipe, no, I don't want to save. If I hit PI for pipe, it's going to automatically come up to this routing preference. And if I click on it, I've already got cast iron pipe in here, 1/2 inch to 12 inch. Should actually be 2 inch. And then I have elbows set up for short sweeps. I use a Y. I'll show you why I use a Y. And I have a short reducer set up for my transition if I do need a reducer. And then I use my no-hub bands as flanges. I'm using the medium duty bands, not the light duty bands, because this is over a grocery store. It's Wegmans. Here on the East Coast, they're big. If you ever been to a Wegmans, you know you've been to a Wegmans. So that's the beauty of this. But what I want to say is, if you go to route pipe, so if I hit PI on my keyboard, and I start here, and I add slope to the pipe, and we're routing, let's say 4 inch. Whoops, something didn't quite work out. Let me delete that. It's always great to have little issues here. So let's go back and say 4 inch, slope up at 1/4 inch, 9 foot's good elevation. I'll come out here and I'll route this far, and then I'll turn on an elbow. And then I stop right here. And if I click on this elbow, this is a 90-degree elbow. And this is the same with fabrication fittings too. They're designed to flex. And what I mean by flexing is, if I click on this and I say, you want to go 30 feet in the air, because on top of this Wegmans, there's a building, and I hit apply twice, I come back over here, it's going to add this pipe. And if you look at this elbow, it's no longer 90, it's at 89.98, which meant that it had to fold a little bit to get there. And if I go over here and I click on this, you're going to see that this elbow flexes too. It's going to be like 89.14 or something. So as we go up, and I pull a dimension, okay, it's 89 or 88.1. So that's what this elbow is here. So every elbow flexes, even fabrication fittings. Fabrication fittings, Autodesk knew this when they were porting the fabrication fittings in. So they made it much quicker and a little bit less noticeable, but their fittings flex back and forth. All fittings flex. And this is to answer your eternal question. What the frick happened? My fitting disappeared. So if I come in here and I delete this, and I come in here and I grab this, and I click, and I say draw pipe, that elbow will disappear. And what it's doing is, it's going to redraw that elbow and reflex it to a different degree. So that's what it's doing. So if I were to come in here and grab this again, let me delete this, and then go here, right click, draw pipe, and change the slope to 1/8 inch. It's gonna come back, and this is gonna be 1/4 inch like it was, and this is gonna be at a weird slope because it's trying to work that out. So sometimes you just have to click on this and go here and say 0.125, and then it shifts to 8-inch, or go up here and use the slope tool, and that'll shift it. But the beauty of it is these go to, you can go ahead and port these fittings here, and you can keep running your pipe. Now that doesn't look like any type of fitting you've ever seen, because it really doesn't exist. If I was to run this, and I click on this, it's actually a Y. And when I built my Y so that it'll go any direction. So now I can continuously run a buttload of pipe. I can come here and I can run as many elbows and fittings, and then I can come in here and I can just click on these, and I can make them go different ways. So let's go back, and I click on this, and I can make it go that way. These Ys are very versatile, and you can go back and forth. And the beauty of it is I got the Y here, so all I got to do is come over here and click on combination. And then now I have a combination fitting. So now I got a 1/4 inch line, got a 1/4 inch slope here. Oh, that's going to be a little different. And then I got and then I got an 1/8 inch slope here because that was different. But if all these were the same slope, let me delete this and start off again. Slope up. We'll turn this one this way. Come in, click on that, start a slope from here. I don't want to start a slope from there yet. Let me go ahead and click on this and say combination. Going to have the pipe in there already. So is there a piece of pipe there? Let's just delete this one here. And I want to draw from here. Still sloping up. You can see it drew the fitting in. And this is 1/8 inch. That's 1/8 inch. That's 1/8 inch. And I can come in here and I can draw a Y. And I can make that a Y. So I want to make that a clean out. I can just start here, right click, go down here, leave it at an 1/8 inch slope. It works very well if you don't change the slope. If you change the slope, you're going to start running into some problems. Oh, first I want to do this. And then I want to change it. And then I want to come in here and use my Victaulic Tools to delete the pipe. And apparently I didn't get this one set up like I did before, but it would put a coupling in there. If I were to draw straight off the end of the pipe, you would get the same result. And still put a coupling in there. You'd have to literally take this, manually move it out the way, come down here, and get your multi-port fitting. Kind of drag it in, attach it to the end. Going to attach. The problem is it doesn't assume the size because these are different sizes. Hit 4, goes to the right size, and then you can come in here and you can try to adjust. Tap it in there, and it goes. And getting back to multi-port fittings, remember how we drew the fitting and it came out at an odd angle, or it flexed. And I would, if I were to draw the pipe from the end here, the pipe disappears. But if I go here and I take a multi-port coupling, which is why you need those. So I'll show you how to make a multi-port coupling here in just a second. If I change this to 4, And I click on this and I say add pipe. Notice how the fitting doesn't disappear. It routes. And all you got to do to take a multi-port coupling is if you already have your flange type set up, hit edit, open up the family, come up here to this file dialog, and then change it from flange to multi-port. Click OK, save as, family, rename it. Instead of flange type, I would make it multi-port, and you're done. But I've already got them in here. So that's how you do it. If it's a coupling, all you got to do is open it up and go from there. So I just want to say one of the things that separates these parts from other parts is what makes these Ys so great that I have is I can come in here and I can click here and you can pull this Y off at 135 degrees. And it'll still draw the Y. Oh, I had the wrong elevation there. So let's go ahead and go back. PI, click, inherit. Elevation, go back to 135, is it'll draw the Y. And if you're drawing an event system, click, inherit elevation, 45. And it'll draw a Y. And if you're trying to build a model that's fabricatable, these dimensions are exactly the same. So what it does is it takes the outlet and it just moves it from one end to the other. I think it's 2 inches from the bottom on a 4-inch. So it just flexes back and forth. And if you want to see what this looks like, let's get a pretty good line here of these bad boys. And that's what they all look like when they're ran. You can see we can get a lot more detail with design fittings. You can visually see where things are at and how things work. And you can see that I have an issue with this here that I have to address. I need to put a reducer in there for some reason. That one disappeared. But that's what we got. So it goes up into the drains, goes up into the sleeves, and that's pretty much how all these things work. Play with it, and that's, in a nutshell, that's the easiest way I can tell you how to learn how to do routing preferences. The only way you're going to get good at it is if you actually get in there, you get your hands dirty, and you start playing with them, you start using them. And the one good thing about it is if you have this set up and you do use fabrication parts, you can see how much quicker this runs in fabrication. So if you do use fabrication parts, you can come over here to your systems palette, click on this, load your settings, go to your fabrication content. We'll just do this one here. This is pretty generic. And then you can come in here and you can choose welded, vice soldered, whatever. And what you can do is you can click OK, and it'll load the fabrication content in. And all you got to do is select it all, and then hit the Design to Fabrication button, and roll with it. So if you still use fabrication fittings, that's fine. Get used to working in the design side and how they flex through, and notice how quickly it populates. Because with fabrication, a lot of times you got to start the run, and then it kind of goes, oh, got the wrong size pipe. That's smaller pipe than what I wanted. Let's go back here and let's make this a 4-inch run. And then you come down here, and then you put an elbow in, and you go over here, and it's kind of running pretty quick. But if you want to put a T in, you got to come in here. You got to either do one of two things: stop routing, come in here and put it in there, or come in here and delete it, and then add your T. Flip it around, add your T, align your T. Wants me to save, and you align your T, and you got to come in here and connect it, and you go from there. But you can see that with the Revit fittings, it doesn't do that. And I would recommend that you don't even have to really set anything up. All you got to do is hit PI for pipe, and then come in here to standard and use all the standard fittings. And then you can populate your fabrication fittings like that. Will it populate 100% right and accurate? No. You're going to have some rework here and there, but if you learn to run with the native Revit parts and families, it will make your fabrication process that much quicker. I would say probably closer to 10% quicker. And then you'll start to get hungry to use design fittings versus fabrication fittings, because then you start to learn the restrictions you have with the fabrication fittings and the limitations. But that's it for now. So go ahead, hit that like, hit that subscribe button, and look for more stuff. I know this video went a little long. It went a lot longer than I wanted it to. At least I was able to get it all done in one take inside the Revit part. But please check us out. Come to my website. Our stuff is very inexpensively priced. I believe you can get all the fittings that I show here for under $12. And you can start working and playing with it. Most of my fittings are usually about $1.25, but because my weld bend fittings have 6 different schedules of all the parts, they tend to run $3 and $4 because you're not just buying one part, you're actually buying 6 included in. And when you buy the elbow package, you're not just buying one elbow, you're buying 6 elbows or 2 different types of elbows, and then with 6 different elbows included inside of that. So just stop by, say hello, drop me a line if you want to see something new, leave a comment. These go straight to my inbox. So if I can help you out, if you have any questions, go ahead and drop me a line. So until next time, have a great day and keep on working inside of Revit.